Today the deployment methods. So what are the deployment methods here? And I will be able to do SOA deployment. The first one using EM console. Second one using WLST. Third one using ANT tool. Fourth one using JDevelop. So these are the methods here we have to deploy the applications into the SOA deployment. So what I have to do here, first I need to be check about here. Started. So whatever needs to be coming to running on this page. See, for deploying the SOA application, what are the things which is required? Yesterday we have seen, right? What is required actually? Which requires the partition, right? And which you created that partition yesterday. And revision, so developers, they are going to be created that one, revision. Revision is nothing but versions actually. So these two which you have completed, and today we'll be able to see deployment using the admin using the EM console first. Later we will be able to go to the different method. See what we need to do actually whenever I want to deploy the applications, so I compose the applications using the EM console. EM console, first you can receive the archive from the developer in the sense SOA archive, right? So you can deploy the SOA infrastructure from SOA menu, start the SOA server and log into the SOA infra and click on the SOA infra, go to the SOA deployment and click on the deployment and you can follow this navigation to deploy the application. These are the steps actually to deploy the application using the Enterprise Manager console, right? So click on deploy and then on the form navigation, generally what you need to do, right click on, go to the SOA deployment. On that, you can select the application, browse the application, then click on next and select the partition and click on deploy button. It is going to be deploying into the service infrastructure. In other words, SOA console like this. You need to be browse. There are two options which was there. One is configuration plan and the other one is archive or exploded directory. And this we'll be able to discuss later actually in the advanced deployment. What's the configuration plan and why you are deploying using the configuration plan. So, after selecting the, one of the SOA deployment, generally, so it is going to be deploying into that, once you follow all the steps, you can deploy into the SOA composite application into the EM console. And see all the SOA composites generally which are backed into the .jar file. So I already told you yesterday while I am discussing about the SOA infrastructure directory structure. Sorry, SOA archive directory structure. So that's what we'll be able to see now. So you can select the targets here. Right, it is started on. Still it is coming. See, the partitions are mandatory. Here you are able to see, right? Without selecting the partition, you cannot able to deploy the applications. See, at least one partition is important. Even there is only one partition in the sense, default partition, which is created automatically whenever you install the SOA suite. You must explicitly select from the SOA partition from the drop down list. Drop down list. So once you deploy a composite, you cannot transfer to a different partition. Once you deploy while selecting the one partition, you cannot transfer to the different partition, right? So partitions are mandatory. That is the reason we need to be select the target as partition. Then if you invoke the deploy SOA composite wizard generally by selecting the deploy to this partition from the deployment drop down list. Generally in the sense, instead of selecting this partition at the time of deployment, you can right clicking on the partition. Directly you can deploy to that partition from the deployment drop down list and the manage partitions page, right? For whom is specific partition. Whenever you want to deploy to the specific partition, right clicking on that partition, go to the deployment. Because the partition is already selected, then the selected page setup is skipped when you are going through that. Some of the sample applications I already stored on my desktop. There is no sample applications here. Right. Go to here, check, see some of the SOA sample applications which is available with me. Seeing there's some application we'll able to see something like that, student result application, right? So how we can able to get that student result application? So using the SOA, right? Once it is coming to the running mode, we'll able to start the steps. Deploying using the EM console. In the sense, Oracle Fusion Middleware control. So from that method we are deploying now. So for that, start the admin server and start the SOA server and log into the EM console and expand the SOA node and click on the SOA infrastructure. Go to the deployments and click on the deployment and select the deployment source file and click on next and select the target and click on deploy button. So it is going to take some time and deploy application into that, EM console, and after that you can test it, deployed application, whether it is get deployed success or not. Make sure the deployed application status should be active. So I'm log into the EM console. Right, expand the SOA node. So click on the SOA infra. It will open the separate window. Now these are the steps for deploying deploying the SOA composite applications from the EM console. Then select the SOA infrastructure, go to the SOA deployment, then click on the deployment. See, browse, click on browse. Here it is having the two, it is available two options, right? One is select the SOA archive and second one is select the SOA configuration plan. So there is a different purpose actually, configuration plan. So when you will able to create and what is the purpose of the configuration plan, we'll discuss later. And browse that application and so select the some SOA Hello World composite application. So click on next and see without partition. I didn't select any partition right here. I'm just clicking on the next. See, error. Selection is required. In the sense partition is required. Without partition you cannot able to apply. Select any one of the partition. I'm selecting SOA partition. Click on next. See, while you're deploying Unity vSet, you already deployed more than one region actually. This is 2.0, assume like that. Which one is you want to keep default? Whenever you start the source server, it has going to be starts. That you have to be select here. Default revision means this will be deployed as the new default of the, new default revision of the composite, right? If you wish to keep the current default revision, then you can select it. Else, please choose the do not changes. In the sense, automatically, which is you already deployed, you can choose do not change the default revision, which is already deployed with default revision, right? So that. So I don't have any revision regarding this application. That's the reason I'm just leaving as it is. Right, which I deployed successfully. Clear? How I can able to know which I deployed successfully? Later I can able to test. So click on this Infra, go to here home and dashboards. See, recently deployed application Hello World Composite. State should be active in the sense which is running successfully. Then click on the deployed composites. In the sense all deployed composites it has going to be displaying which are deploying to the EM console. So this one hello world dot application just now I have deployed December 17 something like that 18 it needs to be displayed but so deployed composite and click on the instance and each time whenever you execute the that SOA composite application, so it has going to be generating the one unique ECID in the sense execution context ID. Based on that, you can able to track, messages about entire SOA composite application. In the sense, you can track last minute what happened, So based on that ECID, execution context ID. Important in the question, what is the ECID? ECID is nothing but execution context ID. So which is going to be, creates every time whenever you run the SOA composite application. So based on that, you can able to track the entire messages to the SOA composite application. By using this any one of the property, you can able to provide that value and you can search it. So in real time, generally what will happen, there are n number of SOA composites which are available. Then by using the any one of the instance ID or easy ID or conversation ID, anything you can provide it here, click on search button, you'll able to get only that composite application. Right? See when it has going to be created or whether it is running or completed or terminated or stale and all these false state, there is no false, everything you can able to search here, right? Is there any people recovery? You can recover actually, right? That time it has going to be displaying here. So in this way, you can able to, search that application. And false and rejected messages means if you will get any false, it has going to be displaying under this. Based on the fault ID, you can able to search about the specific fault or particular fault. And recover with options means the moment whenever you will get the faults, you will the options. One is retry and abort. and that's what we'll able to see. And by default it is going to be displaying other than 24 hours and older than 7 days and older than 31 days, so older than 1 year. The common recovery options it is going to be displaying to these preset batches. Right. This is about how you are going to be monitoring, once you deploy the application. Just what I have to do, I want to test the applications after I deployed. Like this, it is going to be deploying, and you can come to know whether it is deployed or not, and what is the status. Then after that, what I have to do, I want to test the application. Click on this application, deployed application. See what I have to do here, which are available to the following tabs. Active means whenever it is active, then it is going to be, deactivate. The moment I click on the retire means, so it is going to be activate button comes to the active. See, activate because retires actually. System generally status, status should be which is not in a active state. It's in a retired state. See here. So these are the operations you can able to do on the deployed applications generally. What is that? You can start and you can activate, and what I have to do, I need to be activate system retire is going to be enabled, right, which is enabled, and start shutdown, and whenever you shut down it is going to be enabled the start. And setting, you can able to set the parameters actually to this deployed application. Click on the test, you can able to test the SOA composite application. See, this is the WSDL, and as well as different parameters to look up the WSDL. Generally what it is going to be doing, WSDL includes that are not in the form. Generally to test web services, enter the WSDL and click parse WSDL. If you directly if you want to click this, if you know that WSDL, your WSDL context directly, you can type it here and click on parse WSDL if you know, but we don't know, right? That's why there is a reason I clicked on the test actually. So go down here, and what it is actually name it as going to be typing. I'm just typing some name and go up, click on the test web service. It is going to be testing and getting the response. See, clearly you can understand. I'm sending the request, you'll get the response. See, what is my response? The request successfully received. Then each time it is going to be creating the one response time, right? And I executed, right? It is going to create one execution context ID. Then what is the response generally? Hello Samson, right? What I'm doing instead of that, if I give you different name actually, in the sense, so can test that is right. In this way you can able to test it, and click on the request, and if you want I can able to give the different request. See, hello, whatever you will able to get, it has going to be get the response. See, I want to display XML view. See, internally it has going to be displaying in a XML view, right? See here, this is the address actually, URL. By this it is going to be verifying. So this generally which returns by the developers actually automatically, which takes launch trace flow. Generally what it is not launching the proper, okay, no problem. Then it is going to be displaying like this. In a tree means like this, it is going to be displaying in a tree view response. Even request also like that only. You want to give request in XML format, and give it. Now here Samsung I enter and click on response, and click on test web service. See, response what it is, somewhere it is available, hello Samsung. Why it is displaying hello Samsung? Actually I have selected XML view, right? If I select that table or tree view, it is going to be displaying like this. See, whenever you want to recover actually right? Sometimes you will get some issues actually, in the sense error. In that case, generally what will happen, we need to select XML view, and I have to be changed here like this, I have to be changed here. You can, this is editable actually, you can select it and you can edit here, and you can move to the next, and then after that you can click on retry again. Clear? Whenever you'll give any input problem, input arguments, invalid input arguments, that time generally it is going to be doing, showing false here only. Based on that, you can able to edit here, and you can retry again. So this is how you are going to be testing the deployed application. So then after you complete the deployed application, then what are the operations you can able to do? Home, you can monitor about the deployed application, and as well as instances, false and rejected messages, and unit tests. And you can attach the policies, and as well as application roles to protect these SOA composite application. Monitoring means you can monitoring about the performance, and SOA deployment means you can deploy, undeploy, redeploy the another composite. Export means you can export from this target environment to different target. I want to export actually. Click on the export. See, go down here. That's going to be hello world app. Click on export, and see, click on save. Where do you want to save actually? See, it is going to be saves, and you are going to be exporting that application to the different environment you need to be deployments. In that case, generally you can export it. This is how you are going to be using the export option. Then test web service, from here also you can able to test. And SOA infrastructure, we'll go to the SOA infrastructure, and SOA infrastructure is service and reference properties generally, and general information. The moment you click on the general information, there's going to be displaying about that, SOA version and SOA composite application and Oracle Home. All these generally it has going to be displaying to, and you deploy this application, this composite application to the which partition, right? And so click on done button. So these are the operations generally which you can able to do. And so what I have to do, how I can able to control this SOA infrastructure after I deployed and after I tested actually. See, there are following, tabs which are available: activate, retire, and shut down, and start. So these, by using those four options generally, which you can able to, see, each time it has going to be creating the instance ID here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you execute, each time it has going to be increasing, it has going to be associated with the one instance ID. Then what I have to do here, the moment, this navigation, go to here dashboards, in that it has going to be displayed, right? So recently deployed applications and recently running applications, it has going to be displaying here. Like, let's we see, so in the dashboard, it will display that recently deployed application and recently false or rejected messages and component metrics actually. In the sense, this component is what kind of component it is. So it is going to be deploying. Then this is one type of web service component. This is BPL component, hello world process. Then, so total how many messages sent and how many messages received, everything which is going to be displaying here. This is under the dashboard. And next what I have to do, go to the instances. So I already told you this is particular, SOA composite application, how to monitor and provide the instance ID. So like 3, 2, right? Then now you can able to search it, that particular instance ID. See, which is just now I search, right? Only that instance ID you can able to get. How it was get success or failure or not. Here. Then after that, based on this also you can able to search the particular, instance. Then, next, false and rejected messages. If you get any false, then there are system false, business false, and web services false. Then provide the fault ID and click on search button, you will get only that particular fault ID. And recover with option means generally you can recover. There are few options which are available here. Retry, and as well as, so retry, and as well as, the different one, what it is actually about. Then, you can select, depends on the requirement. Then unit test generally, what is the unit test generally? So more than one test case generally to run and click on execute. Whatever you are doing unit test, in the sense, whatever the developer they are going to be designed and developed, which are getting which are developed according to the requirement or not, we are going to be testing, right? By giving the inputs and all those. So that is what generally in unit testing generally. Test cases enable you to simulate the interaction between the composite and its web service partner in a environment. And policies means to protect this composite application generally, attach to the web service binding and components of this SOA composite application. Click attach detach, from to update list of attached policies. So that will help in the security, how you are going to be attaching, detaching. In this way, you can able to monitor about the deployed composites and test the composite and so control the composite by using the activate and retire and startup and shutdown. This is how we are going to be deploying the application using the EM console from the SOA infrastructure. From here and go to here and deploying. So what I'm doing in different way I can able to deploy. I want to deploy the application to the particular partition. See wait how I can able to deploy, expand the SOA infra, and here it has going to be displaying how many partitions which are available. And I'm selecting one partition name actually, CTS part. Click on it, right click on it, go to the SOA deployment, deploy it to this partition, click on browse button and go to the SOA composite application where it is available and click on open, click on next and click on deploy. This time it won't ask that to select the partition because I already selected the partition. Click on deploy. This is the second way to deploy the application to the particular partition. Right, switch deployed successfully. What I have to do, click on test. Go to here, it is going to be displaying here, ID, name, Samsung, and what is the marks actually, whether it is and click on the test web service. See, you got the response immediately. Clear? You want to know in XML format, you want to view. Click on XML format, you can view this one. Automatically it is going to be displaying both in XML format and as well as the tree view. And you can able to view like this. Clear? How you can able to deploy and how you can able to test. And then see for this application also same for monitoring about the individual components. And export test web service and so on infrastructure, all these are the same actually. For every composite application, whenever you deploy, you can monitor like this individual deployed. And you want to monitor about all the applications. So this here which is available here. Clear? All three are which are deployed actually. These many times which I executed that, hello world application. Recently composite instance which I executed, and recently deployed one student results that is on the top right, student composite. So in this way, generally, which you can able to deploy and search the deploy and test the composite applications. Then after that, based on the instance that you can able to search it and you can able to manage about the particular SOA composite instance, SOA composite application. This is how you are going to be deploying and testing and tracking the information about SOA deployment. Then I told you right, testing that application. See, the moment you log into that, SOA console like this, you can just go to over there and click on test. Then after you can provide the inputs and get the request and response also can able to get like this. These are the steps generally you can able to test SOA composite application after you deploy it. And you can see here table view and as well as response in a tree view. Table view means generally you will get like this, and the XML view means you can able to get like this. So the tree view means which provides a collection of fields. The XML view generally which you can edit the XML structure. So at runtime you can able to edit the XML structure whenever you get any issue or any faults at runtime. and preparing for the request data for its test. Actually enter the request data, then click on the test web services, means it is going to be get the response from the service, right? If you are star in the tree view generally mode, data initially entered does not appear when you switch to the XML view. Only in tree view only it is going to be appear the data, then in XML view it is going to be displaying in XML view, and enter the fields in the XML structure generated and switch back, and for the data value seems to be a remembered even if you change the data. So it is going to be, if you will give XML format even response also, you will get the response in XML format only. In that case generally here we have the right. So launch messaging flows. So the moment you click on that, you can able to view the message flows through the composite applications. So in this way generally you can able to test faults. I already told you this now, how you can able to monitor the faults whenever you will get. Then very important one, now you can able to get the message tracking flow by using the ECID, execution context ID. So it enables you to track the messages flow, that across the instances of different composites. In the sense, by using this generally, which you can able to, know about the entire composite application instance state by tracking the messages. Generally, that is about how you are going to be, tracking the SOA composite instance or SOA composite, application state by going or by tracking with the messaging flow. And so then after that, working with the flow trace generally, just now we have seen, the moment you click on the flow trace generally, it is going to be displaying here. If you get any faults, it is going to be displaying here. Then based on that, you can able to recover if it is recoverable, and else change it. I already showed you how to start and how to activate, how to active and how to retire, and to start, how to shut down. All these which I have shown already, which I have seen. Right. So then accessing the logs and other settings generally, what I need to do, how we can able to access the logs and as well as other one. Like once you shutting down or shutting down button to terminate the application after clicking on yes in confirmation window after shutdown, generally success the confirmation message generally, then again you just clicking on the startup. So in this state generally application instance cannot be created for new requests generally. Startup button starts the application in the shutdown state and new instance can be created to process the new request. Then visual and URL icon to right of the setting button. Like this you can able to test. Managing the SOA composite application lifecycle generally. How you can able to manage the SOA composite application lifecycle. So this is the development. So example like that, whatever I have done in dev environment. Same process I can able to do in a production environment and the client able to execute. Before that, staging production also. This is component one, component two, and component three, right? Based on this, they are going to be, protecting the security in between the client and server, and they are able to accessing without any hacking problems or without any issues. Why it is called SOA composite management application? Means, generally what it is doing here. In this, you have in the development, you can create and you can design the SOA composite application. You can deploy to the testing, staging, and production. So while you're deploying the production, generally what we need to do, we need to be test those composite applications. Then after that, client ready for accessing those composite applications or services. While is accessing generally, it needs to be submit some CA, instance certificate authority or certificates to the client, because client needs to be trust the services coming from the SOA server only, right? For that, which needs to be SOA composite application, it's need to be certified. Then once it has going to be done, it has going to be invoking. This is what composite application name CA. Then for protecting, I'm telling you actually, establishing how you are able to establish the security communication between the service and service provider and service consumer. Composite application CA means it is application name. So which contains version 1, version 2, version 3 generally. All these generally which are going to be working or able to accessing by the client after you deploy into the production mode. This is our composite application versioning. See, versioning means 1.0, 2.0, 3.3. So how you can able to deploy more than one version to the same application and how they are going to be activated at the same time. So this is what SOA composite application versioning 1.0 and component 1, component 2, component 3, 1.0, 1.1. And this is what composite application. So all three, how it is going to be activated and without disturbing the one and another, then it is going to be accessing by the client. See, let's we see here specific revision number for the application. A revision is specific deployed revision of the application. You can deploy multiple revisions of an application, but to support different client requirements at the same time. So in that case, generally what will happen, whatever the default revision which you have selected when you deploy that composite application only whenever you start the server automatically deploy. Else it won't, rest of the composite applications we need to be start. So what is the advantages by doing this of the revisions is that older version can be executed even in the same environment as the a new version. Therefore, old clients generally are supported until they can be modified to use the a new application. So in our example, generally C1 using the composite application CA version 1.0 and by explicitly specifying the revision number and new partnership with different clients C2 and C3 then who require the new revision can invoke it either by specifying the revision or excluding the revision information causing the default revision to be invoked. Later you can plan migration of the old client to a newer revision of the application. So this is about revisions actually, so a composite application revisioning. Clear?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the deployment versus redeployment. Deployment is nothing but what you can deploy the application into the SOA composite application, SOA composite or SOA service infrastructure, and this is new application, right? Deploying means a new application you are deploying, right? Maybe more than one version means 1.0, 2.0 alongside the an older version you are deploying the newer version also. But what is an redeploying means? Redeploying is nothing but, in other words, updating the same version or updating the same application, right? So redeploying is nothing but existing revision of an application. Do not use this deploy SOA composite wizard. Instead of use that redeploy SOA composite wizard using the redeploy SOA composite wizard, the following sequences generally. What it is going to be doing, so whenever I want to update the same revision, right? Same revision or same SOA composite application. So I'm going with the redeployment. Instead of redeploy, in other words, we can call it as update. Same deployment target, old revision 1.0 is redeployed to the new revision 1.0. Understood? With new features. So that is what generally you can call it as redeployment. Old currently deployed version of this revision as running instances state. So whenever I want to update, example, so a composite application 1.0, which I deployed. Tomorrow I need to add some servers, you know, some services into that 1.0, and I need to be redeploy that one because which is already deployed. So in that way, generally you can able to, update the SOA composite application. This is about deployment versus redeployment. In this way, you can able to do that redeployment. And so you can do the redeploying a composite application within the EM console. See, right click on SOA composite application under the SOA infra, select the SOA deployment, and in that you can select the redeploy and select the archive, which archive you want to be redeploy. Then you can redeploy on the SOA composite application. Those are the steps generally. So the moment you click on the redeploy, it is going to be invoking. And this is about deploying, undeploying, deploying, testing, and redeploying and all those. See what I have to do here. Go to what deployment. There is redeploy option right here. The moment you click on the redeploy option, to which composite generally you want to redeploy, you can select that application. I'm not redeploying, I'm just showing the process, and click on next. Then how to undeploy? In the sense, how to remove the SOA composite applications from SOA service infrastructure. This is also having the two methods. This, first expand the SOA node and click on the SOA infrastructure, select the SOA infrastructure, go to the deployment and click on redeploy. to which application you want to deploy actually. I'm selecting the student result composite and click on next and click on next. What I did. I selected undeploy, redeploy actually. I need to be select undeploy. Right. It is telling that the composite is running instance. The composite revision still it has going to be running instance. If you do like that, it has going to be fixed, it has going to be telling. Undeploying is the last deployed revision of this composite. Once this operation you performed, there is no new messages sent to the composite, right? Will be processed or not. Undeploying is nothing but I am removing the SOA composite application from the service infrastructure. I just click on undeployed. Right, which is undeployed, right? Click on refresh and go to here home dashboards. And otherwise student results I have deployed to the TCS partition. So expand the TCS partition. There is no composite which is available here. And even you can control. So once I miss out, just wait. And I deployed, SOA composite hello world application to this. Otherwise, go to here what I have to do, how you can able to control the SOA composite application. Click on that partition and click on startup all, shut down all, active all. How many composites which you deploy to this partition doesn't matter. All composites you can start all at the same time and shut down all at the same time, activate all, retire all. So there is a reason partitions are logically groupings of composites to help you manage the large deployments. Like here you can deploy to this only this partition and deploy, right? And these are the things which you can able to do in the partition. Then once I complete generally what I need to do, how I can able to undeploy the SOA composite applications. Right, here we have the student result, right? I'm just selecting this one and otherwise select this partition. This is second way of undeployment and undeploy all from the CTS partition. It is going to be displaying your list actually. Select all the composites at the same time. Deploy all composites. Undeploy all composites. Right, it completes undeployment. There is no applications available, so composite applications available to this TCS partition. So in this way, you can able to do the undeployment. How to manage the composite instance state generally? So the composite instance state application can be managed by using the EM console generally. So whenever you deploy the instance application, stale state, in the sense existence instance state, and remove, undeploy, set default, revision while you are deploying actually. Retire, activate, state actually this is, and start up and shut down the, state actually. All these are the, composite, application states actually. See, let's see how you can able to manage those composite application states. Shutdown means you can shut down your running SOA composite application revision. New request to the composites are rejected. Whenever you'll get any new request, it has going to be rejects while composite instance state in a shutdown. And shutdown startup statements restart your composite application revision that was shutting down. New requests are processed while you are in a startup. And retire means so select the composite revision, and if the process lifecycle is retired, then new instance cannot be created and requests are rejected. And activate means activates the retired composite application revision, and it has going to be processing the request. Undeployments, you can remove the selected SOA composite application revision from the enterprise manager console. In other words, EM console. Set default revision means so the composite application revision as the default. While you're deploying, you can able to set. Otherwise, after you deploy, also you can able to set the default revision. All composite applications are automatically activated when you deploy it. Other revisions of deployed composites, which we need to be start or explicitly we need to be start. Right. So this is about how you are going to be deploying and all the deployment operations, basic and advanced, we have seen in the EM console. Next, deploying and managing the SOA composite applications using WLST and AND commands. Right. Let's see the first one, how you can able to deploy using the WLST. WLST is nothing but what it is a command line utility which we can able to deploy and deploy, start and stop, and packing into the .jar file and preparing the configuration plan, everything which you can able to do by using the WLST in command mode. Whenever you have a requirement to do the SOA administration part, deployment and deployment in command way extensively, then we will just go with the WLST. WLST is nothing but it has providing the interface, interface and monitoring all the resources, all the SOA resources it has going to be monitoring, managing and administrating. Like let's we see how you can able to deploy, undeploy and redeploy the applications, SOA composite applications. This is the syntax actually to deploy the SOA composite and example. This is the syntax for undeploying the SOA composite and this is the example. So let's we see how many ways generally, what are the steps generally which you can able to see to deploy the application into the SOA composite application using the WLST, right? So it is an alternative to the EM console, WLST, in the sense, while instead of deploying the SOA composite applications through from the EM console, so you'll able to go with the WLST using the commands actually. So let's we see that first what I have to do. So syntax we need to be choose and later what I can able to do. This we have seen here syntax for deploying SOA composite. Then what I'm trying to tell you is first set the class path, invoke the WLST, and next to connect to the running server. Then use this syntax and provide the partition and enter the admin username and password it is going to be asking. Then once it is completed, it is going to be deploy the fully, right? Let's we see. I'm just going over there. I'm setting the environment variables. Next, where you need to go, SOA common bin. So I need to be use WLST.sh. I'm invoking the WLST. Right, I need to be connected to the running server. Right. Next, what I have to do? I need to be issue the following command. SCA deploy composite localhost 8001 and home Linux desktop SCA hello world composite revision 1.0.jar and partition TCS part, which is there already. I need to be check whether application is available or not on my desktop. Hello world composite revision 1.0. Right. I'm just copying. Go to over there here. See, so it is very particular about that single quotes and spaces. The moment you enter it, it's going to be asking the web logic basic authentication and password. It is going to start deploying the applications. To deploy the server composites into the service infrastructure. At the end, generally you will get the following message actually. See here, deployed composites. HTTP response from the server, port 200 means it got success actually. Right? This is how you are going to be deploying, and make sure at the end this message actually deploy composite success. Then go to over there into the EM console and click on refresh button, refresh the form and expand the TCS partition. See which is you deployed that TCS partition hello.x application, click on it, click on test and provide the name and click on test web service. See, this is a request and you got the response. This is how we can able to deploy. Then for undeploying, generally what is the script, what are the steps, and you can able to start and stop, means start up and shut down, and then you can activate, and retire. All the deployment tasks you can able to do on the composite application. So then how to undeploy generally? Before undeploying, let us we see how to manage the server composite applications with WLST. Start SCA underscore start composite to start the stopped composite application. SCA stop composite, stop the server composite application. SCA activate, composite, activate the previously retired composite. SCA retired composite, retire the server composite application. SCA assign the default composite. So assign the default revision to a composite application. Assign the default composite actually. Which one you have to deploy as default revision. Then SCA list deployments. How many applications you deploy? SCA list deployments. SCA list deployed composite. So in that you have to be provide some parameters, and you can able to list that server composite applications. So this is how you are going to be deploying the server composite applications, right? So I'm stopping here and undeploying, and we'll go to the next method, and then after that advanced using the JDeveloper and advanced server deployment we'll see tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow at what time? At 3 o'clock, no?